Hey everyone, I have here the LEGO Creator 3-in-1 Space Rover Explorer set, and I will be showing you all 3 official builds in this one video. I'm going to start with the smallest and simplest build, which is this unofficial, unlicensed Vic Viper tribute spacecraft. As always with these 3-in-1s or 2-in-1s, you cannot build multiple of the official build options at the same time with the parts from a single set. So you have to choose one. You know, it's important to be clear about that, especially for folks who are not familiar with LEGO 3-in-1s or 2-in-1 sets for that matter. So this is basically the C model. You know, there's the A model, that's the main one that's advertised on the front of the box and with the biggest pictures. And then there's the B model, and this is the C model. So this is like not even the alternate build, this is the alternate build. And for an alternate, it looks pretty good to me. It looks pretty complete, you know, it looks pretty purpose built. The only thing that I find to be a little bit awkward here is the rear fin, which is thick. I wish that was just a single brick thick rather than 2 as it is, but the shaping as viewed from the side is pretty nice. I like the angle here and also how that kind of flows into the partial arch pieces back here. And I like how the wings are built and attached. You can see the studs on the side, style of construction, effectively the way that they're arranged here. But then they're not simply on hinges. They have hinges at the base, but then to properly locate them, they use just the sizes and positions of Technic bricks with Technic connectors to hold it all together, and it just geometrically all works out. You got the couple suggested cannons at the end there, big engines. Unfortunately, there's no exhaust inside of those, so this does not look quite so good from behind. I mean, you're looking at the unfinished undersides, you know, anti-studs there, and then these engines not having any flame or anything, you know, flame cones, leaves them looking pretty hollow, you know, so definitely not a great look here. Have a couple of little clips to hold on to some minifig accessories and to get access to the interior. Well, before I open that up, I do want to show you inside the cockpit. There is a printed piece there, printed console piece for the person to look at. And the reason I wanted to show that to you now is that it actually moves with the windscreen, with the canopy. So that's the part right there, that printed piece. The dude himself has nothing as far as like controls or anything. So there's nothing left behind there. And he's just sitting there with nothing attaching him. You know, not any studs, not any little panel piece to wedge his legs in place or anything, but it works perfectly fine. Just make sure that his feet are pushed all the way forward and then he is leaned all the way back and the canopy will just barely close over him and it'll seal up. I really like the skids on this. They're super simple, just the little ratcheted round parts, but they are the right length, I feel, and they work. Like when I put this down, it's just the center of gravity is over those skids. They're small and it elevates the whole thing off the ground. It just makes it nicer. Works out well. There's no storage or anything, so this is pretty much all there is to see with this build. Looks pretty good from most angles. Worst from the back, but still not terrible. The figure stays the same no matter which build you do, so we'll just look at him once. He's got the classic space logo on there, so the same organization that LEGO has used for the majority of its space travel related tasks since 1978, but just a different time period here. He's got some silver pieces for the torso, the hip, and the legs. And then got the white air tanks on the back. I need to take some stuff off so you can see more of the details. Very happy face there with some stubble with some good detail on it. And there's the back torso print that you don't see unless you have the air tanks off. And his alternate face, which is still a little bit happy, or at least satisfied. You know, they didn't give us a scared version of him or something. So yeah, I think that's actually kind of cool, but it's different enough from the main one. So yeah, useful and nice and happy. Of course, this being the smallest model, this leaves the most pieces behind, and wow, there is a lot there. You could definitely make some additional things, even with this build being larger than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, it still leaves quite a lot of stuff behind. So let's see something that uses more of these parts. So from Nimble Starfighter, we go to this. What exactly is this blob of parts that comes with a little thing that looks suspiciously like a hex bug. Oh, that's an alien insect, I'm assuming, of some sort. A really, really big one. Just a few pieces used for that. This thing is a habitation. It's a structure, human-made structure for people to live in and do research on, basically use as a home base on another planet. This does use a lot more of the parts included in the set. It kind of feels funny when you're putting this together and it's just like, okay, we've made this structure. Now we're going to add a whole bunch of additional pieces to it to make it just a little bit more bulky. I think it's good use of parts for the most part, but for the most part. Anyway, front door slides open. Probably has a kind of sound. Unfortunately, you get to see those ugly blue Technic pin pieces. I kind of like the fact that that's different shaped, but I don't know, it's still kind of weird looking. This is like the greenhouse area. So you've got a couple of windows there and you can see some plants growing down below. We'll look at it from the correct side as well. On top, little transceiver dish here. This is supposed to be like a radar dish or a transceiver dish itself. So I can rotate around and change in angle. Gotta use your imagination a little bit there. This, I believe, is a water collection and or filtration unit. Maybe you collect condensation in that. That would be my assumption. This is just a cutaway to suggest that there's more to this, so add on to this and imagine it being much larger. Add on to it physically if you want to, and expand, but this is pretty much all that you can do with the parts in one set. And then we have to look at the interior. So you can tell by now from the tone of my voice that I'm not convinced about a lot of the things that are done here. A lot of the individual details I think are nice, but just on the whole, this is not quite working for me. Feels kind of, I don't know, just doesn't feel like one thing. Feels like a whole bunch of stuff cobbled together very, very tightly. This is either an actual bed or a medical bed. It seems more like a medical facility to me because this arm over here could be doing remote surgery. It could be actually controlled by somebody on a spacecraft or back on Earth. Or it could just simply be a little robot arm to hold on to like a laptop or a book or something for you, If it's something simpler, you got a big light up above though that just seems more like a surgical light to me than anything. But yeah, that's again, individual details are fine. Looks like there is a sample container or beaker behind there and a suggestion of a microscope. Got a small printed console over there for some sort of instruments. Clip up on the wall, and this is looking down the hall to the front entrance. So this is where people would come in and leave normally. That's your droid scanner right there at the entrance. And then you got storage. Let me leave this open. Let a little bit of extra light in there. Got the water tank back there. This is like a kitchen counter, Got a light up there. Again, another printed console piece. See some of the greenery that's been grown. Look at the inside of the greenhouse area. A couple of sprouts there. A couple of small heads of lettuce, I'm assuming. They're growing in the window on that side. Got lights up above as well. And the chair is able to swivel around. Come on, swivel. Where are you? Come on. There we go. Looking at this mirrored in my monitor. There we go. And you can also adjust the angle of the back on that. Fire suppression, air tanks for going outside, ladder for going up top. Already saw this. That's probably an air tank or oxygen tank. And if you take the ladder up top, well, you already saw most of the stuff that's up here is also just a little bit of extra random, like greebly detail in the center there, because they could. And that's pretty much that. So this assembly used up a lot more of the pieces, but we can do better still. Here is the main one, the big rover itself. And it actually has a little surprise with a miniature, almost a miniature version of itself as well. But you can see the size of this is, fairly substantial. The minifig is just a little bit taller than one of the tires. So you're getting a good amount of stuff, it feels like. And then there's this thing, which I will come back to. First of all, just overall, when I first saw this, when I first saw like the pictures of it when they were announced, I didn't quite get it. I didn't feel that connected to it. It didn't feel quite right to me. But I realize now that I just wasn't looking at it in the right way. I wasn't understanding really what I was seeing. This is not your typical just transport, toy space foreign, alien planet transport, little capsule to move you around with a little bit of detail on the inside. This is properly an overland expedition vehicle and survival vehicle as well. So there's a lot of detail in here that you wouldn't typically see for something that's intended to be just a shuttle to take people back and forth between different parts of a space base or something. It has like tools on the outside. You've got, and I believe this is supposed to be an air tank or oxygen tank right here on the back. You've got another tank over here, which can also be attached to this side, but that's intended to be the drinking water. Again, I believe you've got the communications stuff up top with the transceiver dish and antenna that can be changed in angle. Lots of lights on this thing on the front. That's pretty important for, any shaded areas or doing some nighttime expeditions. If you're going to just keep going, depends on the climate of the area where you're going to be exploring. You might be doing all of your travel at night, but that's good to see. And then this up here is interesting because I believe this is not intended to be another light unit. I believe this is supposed to be a pair of cameras set up to give you 3D vision for like VR style work. Maybe you get really good views from the inside. Maybe if you're not even in the driver's position, you're just in the back, because this can still rotate around. It shifts side to side. It does go up and down, but it's kind of weird. This part is kind of weird, but yeah, we'll see more about that. There's a reason that I specifically brought that up. But what else? Oh, we've got these robot arms, right? These go up and down. They can rotate out. Like there's a good amount of articulation with these. You can rotate the hands around. Although unfortunately, these do not reach all the way to the ground. So a little bit short there. One more piece for each definitely would have done this well. Would have served it well. You saw how the front axle was tilting from side to side. You got this lateral swing arm for a suspension there. And then as I lift up the nose, there's a longitudinal swing arm in the back. I'm going to move this tank out of the way so I can get more articulation out of it. See? Look at that. You can put it into a permanent wheelie position like that, which is kind of cool. But the net result of having those interesting little bits of realistic inspired suspension setups is that you can drive this over terrain and you can see the other wheels staying on the ground. See? Like that. So it actually works. I personally generally don't like hard plastic wheels, but I understand it here. I understand what they're going for with the non-pneumatic tires, which would be a realistic thing. Got a crane back here, which is all folded up. Look at how much this unfolds. Look at this. It goes all the way out here. This is easily able to reach down to the ground and beyond, and it'll also reach all the way up here to the roof, where it can grab onto this thing. Just through a loop there. Yep, that's pretty easy. That's good, that's nice. We'll take a look at that little thing as well. It's special in its own way. Have a little bit of access for a minifigure who's on this rear deck to get up to the top level. And speaking of access, move that to the side. Over here, suggestion of a ladder, although you do have to kind of climb up the tire, I guess, to get to that. It's not complete. I wish that this door, that's what that is, the main hatch, would open down instead of up, kind of like on a private plane, a small passenger jet or something. But instead it opens up. So that's the main access for minifigures to get inside of this. But for us, huge figures, us big humans, we can open up that and take this entire part off here at the front. So this looks like it's hinging, but it's really just gonna pop off. The back section has the fire suppression unit in there, the fire extinguisher, and the front section, again, like with the spacecraft, the Starship, has the consoles built into it. So they're just in a place where they're easy to view for the minifig, a little bit less easy to view for us, but there are two of them and a couple of extra lights and or buttons represented there. Looking at the interior space, let's see, move that out of the way. There we go. So the main area that you see there is the bed, the tan thing is the bed. You got a couple studs down there to hold the feet, you know, the back of the legs of a minifigure. On that side looks like a science station, so a couple of sample collection jars, as well as a very, very small representation of a microscope. On the other side, spot to hold on to air tanks for the minifigure when the figure is inside. It's a sealed area. They don't need to be wearing the air tanks. Got a little callback to Lego Classic Space with that. And then that's like a little kitchenette area, I'd say, with a countertop, a sink, and possibly, I don't know, maybe an oven, like a microwave down below. If you will stay focused, please. Thank you. Behind there also, a couple of plants that are growing, I'm assuming. And around the other side, unfortunately, there's not really good access for us to get our fingers in there. Like it's a little bit difficult to reach in there if you want to have a figure interacting with stuff. It's pretty easy to get. Sorry about that. Pretty easy to get to this area here, but the central core area, not so much. The front, super easy because the person just sits right there on those two studs on the tan modified tile with only two studs on it. You get the two levers for control and extra windows to basically let you see the terrain in front of you. So that works out pretty well. Yeah, not a whole lot going on for the interior here. I mean, what is here does have some good detail, but it's just not all that accessible. I would not ever have complained about this level of detail for Classic Space, but nowadays, I guess I'm just a little bit spoiled. So this thing then, the little deployable robot, this is more special than I initially realized because notice the trans light blue there, the two, well, they look like eyes. Well, those are lenses of cameras to provide what? 3D imaging, VR style viewing from its position. Got a couple of little robot arms on the front there. You got 6 wheels, they're hard tires. You got the communications dish over here, transceiver dish, and an arm, oops, my bad, robotic arm on the side. Seen a lot of things that are very familiar, right? That I've talked about very, very recently, like seconds to minutes ago. Yeah, this little robot is an analog to the full rover. It's like a miniature version of it that gets deployed from it. It all works. So this is just set up as a drill bit right now to drill for mineral samples and such. You can also take this off. You know, it's just a little hoop to hold on to, or to allow the crane hook to hold on to it. You can take that off, and I can use these 2 studs on the blue plate to have the minifigure on here. So this can actually be used as a little miniature transport as well. I don't know if that's the intent here. Maybe imagine that's actually a steering wheel then, if I leave that there. But the other thing I was thinking is if I remove this, then I have a spot to put a sample collection jar, you know? So that all works together. This thing is actually really cool for how small it is, especially. And it doesn't use that many pieces, so it's not wasteful. And lastly, the very, very alien. Okay, no hex bug here. This is something a little different, a little special. Kind of looks like a dancing rave crab, you know, but it's very alien. It's very, very different. It looks a little bit creepy to a little bit cute, depending upon how you interpret what you see there. I think it's kind of cool. Got these eye stalks. I was playing around with the eye stalks and realized that you can actually get kind of different expressions just by changing those. Like now it looks a little bit more welcoming, a little bit more derpy even. You spread these apart, open them up like that. Now it looks a little bit more mean to me. I don't know. You can see it actually turns its eyes. This does not use many pieces, but I think it's cool. And I appreciate the fact that it's not just another either insect that's just, some alien color, or humanoid thing. Lego likes to do its very humanoid based aliens, and this is just so different. You got the arms that can wave about, or you can turn them back into just regular legs. You can also rotate these legs back here to make the whole thing angle back or angle forward, and the top of the head rotates also to show its teeth. And I don't know if that's going to be like an aggressive sign, or Harry and the Hendersons style, or I don't know. Use your own imagination for that. I just like this thing. It's very intriguing to me. It's so different. And here are the main build's spare parts, including an extra drill bit piece here. So if you break off the drill bit like I did, you can use the wrench on the side of the main rover to do a little repair there and replace that piece to give yourself just a little extra immersive play value. The price for this set is $40 US, and I think when I first saw this, I wasn't sure the value was really going to be there, but now that I have it here in person, I can say that I am satisfied with the value. I'm satisfied with the price compared to the amount of stuff that's here in front of me when I use all the official pieces. Some people like to give a lot of extra credit to 3-in-1 sets, saying, hey, you've bought one set, but you actually get 3 models. But you don't get 3 models, you get the ability to rebuild something into 2 other things, getting rid of the main thing in the first place. I think there is definitely some value to having those additional official builds that are designed into the model here. I didn't mention it when I was going over this main one, but there are some funky build techniques used in this and some part hiding techniques used to have extra pieces available to use to make those other builds better. So, there is definitely additional value beyond just having the single main build, but I will never give a 3-in-1 set like 3 times value credit or even 2 times value credit. It's just a little bit more, because technically you could take any set, absolutely any set, and make 3 different things out of it, or many, many more than that, But overall, I am much happier with this, and especially the main build, than I was when I first saw the pictures of it. It makes a lot more sense to me having it here in person. The color scheme and just seeing all the extra stuff on there, it feels, like I said, like a survival platform to me, and not so much just like a basic transport. I feel like there's real story here, and it's interesting that they chose to go with just a single figure. Makes the person, maybe that was just a budget consideration, but to me at least, it makes it feel like this person is, more alone and really just out there on the frontier just by himself. You got a little bit of the Martian kind of feel to it in that sense, but it works. And having both of his faces be at least slightly happy, I think adds some extra joy to this. It's not a scary thing. You have to, if you want to feel fright and fearfulness of the aliens and of the terrain and will you actually survive, you have to bring in your own minifig head, to have a different expression for it. So I appreciate a lot of the decisions that went into this. The Habitat build is definitely my least favorite of the 3 official ones personally, but I'm pretty biased on that. I think it could have been good if there were twice as many pieces and it could have been fully enclosed and just more complete. It's just not quite on the level of completeness of the other 2 builds. Surprisingly, the littlest build is much bigger than I thought it was going to be, So that actually had some pretty good substance to it, even though it left so many parts behind. So lots of good stuff here. Lego has done, the designer has done, and not too many mistakes were made, honestly, and the value is pretty good. So I'm pretty satisfied. Sorry I did not capture the build or the builds of this set in the pure build or speed build forms. Just this time around, I did the builds separately kind of on my own time, but most of the time I will continue to capture builds, almost all the builds for things that I do review on this channel. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about this set relative to maybe earlier impressions, which is your favorite version, your favorite official build, if you have a particular leaning towards one, and why. And I'll keep working, bringing you more content, and talk to you again soon.